Hi everyone. Hi, it's Karen here. Now for those that don't know me, because we're on our page, I'm the Ideas into Action Business Coach, if I was going to give you a title, which sounds a little strange I guess, but I'm a business coach and mentor, and I'm working here in Scotland and across the UK with people to build bigger businesses, doing the thing that they love, which is exactly what I'm doing. And so I've come onto the page today, and I want to come on a regular basis now to share some of the things that we've learned over the last 12 months. Actually, probably stuff that I've learned over, gosh, a lot longer than that. 35 years of having my own business. I entitled this one Moving Mountains, and that's because technically I feel like that's what we've done. That's what I've done in my life, is moved from one mountain to another. And a lot of my working life has been about moving things from one place to another, of making things happen. And what I wanted to do was share in only 15 minutes, and for those of you that know me, that's a rarity, little bits of lessons that I've learnt along the way that aren't always business lessons. And I guess today's is a bit more of a life lesson really. But I still wanted to make sure that, as I say, I got out here and shared it with people, even though it's my business page, because I don't believe that you can actually separate your life from your business. I do think if you are a business owner, that the two things are inextricably linked. And therefore, as I say, some of the lessons that I have may not always be things that appear to be purely about business, but what I'd like to do is share them on this business page, because I think they're relevant to lots and lots of people in different fields, whether you own your own business or whether it's just you working your way through life and having a career or making any sort of change happen. I think this moving mountains thing that as I say, I've encountered hits a lot of us really. My story is very long because I'm in my 50s now, so it's a good length of story, and I guess I wanted to share just a couple of things that helped shape sort of where I am now, why we moved here, and how everything happened really, because things can change just like that. And that's what happened to me one Friday morning in 2010, the 28th of May 2010. I was in a position where I was busy at work that day, and it was fairly early in the morning, around about sort of 9:30, 10 o'clock, something like that. And my life was fabulous. I was like most of us. I had a busy life where I was doing lots and lots of things for work. I was doing lots and lots of things for home. I've always been involved in music and stuff outside of home. And so there was a lot going on in my life, and I had it all really. I was like a lot of people. I had my head down. I was doing what I did. I was in a relationship I'd been in for 25 years very happily. I was getting on with life. And if you'd have looked at my business, I was at the top of my game. So I'd got a business that I was a management consultant at that point, working with the NHS. Predominantly, I'd done my work with the NHS for 30 years. And I had a six-figure business consistently year on year, and I was known as a fixer. I was somebody that came into NHS organisations to do programme and project management, to get stuff done, and to take their staff with me to actually build teams and get people to work with their strengths to deliver better, and to make complex things simple. And often, that just means me drawing a huge diagram and getting people to understand why we're doing something. And I guess why is a key thing that keeps coming back to me in everything I've done now. So there I was on a normal sort of day, in the middle of, I just had one meeting and I was waiting for a second meeting to start in a building that I'd worked in the centre of Birmingham many, many times before, when I suddenly got a phone call from my sister-in-law explaining that, completely out of the blue and unexpectedly, my brother had died. And that's not something I'm going to talk about loads on here, but these things happen to all of us, don't they? Where suddenly the day starts normally and then everything has changed. And just in that split second, everything, literally everything changed. The perspective on everything just swiveled round and nothing made sense, and we all had to try and find a new version of normal. And we all do that all the while. That's nothing that's particularly, special to me. But what it made me do, obviously, is the same as it makes all of us do at these times, I guess, is just reflect. Is think about life. I was happy in my life, but I wasn't stretched. I hadn't got that edge of excitement about the things I was doing anymore. My fabulous business, although it was turning over really good money every year still, and I was daily doing things that I was good at and enjoyed, it hadn't got that same thing about it. I've sort of felt as if I owned my own job now, which obviously meant on a bad day I couldn't moan about the boss because it was me. So it wasn't the ideal. It felt like it, and it seemed like it before that moment in time. But at that moment in time, when you take the lid off all of your emotions and you reflect on everything in your life, suddenly sometimes you get pulled up and you go, oh, that's not actually what I should be doing. And so it started something which I've referred to as a bit of a quest to people that know me, and some of you will have heard me say this. I think Journey's been taken over by Saturday Night TV now, so that's a word that has to be retired. But I went on a quest to try and resolve those things in my heart that weren't satisfied, that weren't stretched, I wasn't living at the edge of something. And I know actually for me, I am a person that needs to live on the edge of something and really experience the highs and the lows and the excitement. So I've certainly made myself do that over the last year, well, over the last 7 years really. I'm going to come to now. Where we are now is I'm living in a completely different place. I was born and brought up in the Midlands, and that was where I worked, and I worked all over the country, but based from there. And now I live in Scotland. We've moved to a fabulous little town in Scotland, which we fell in love with over a period of 4 years when we were visiting my father-in-law, who was born close to here and lived here when he was older. And we found this fabulous place to be that from the instant we came here felt as if it was the place I was meant to be. And in the last 12 months, the things we have done have been huge, colossal. And I'm only just now feeling ready to share that journey and that story with you here on the page. So a lot of people have been to my boot camps and my events and my trainings and are coached with me and know bits of the story and have been involved and are certainly, contributed towards the story and the success we've had here. And know me through Facebook Live on my group, the Ideas Interaction Collective, but actually what's happened is, a lot of people have asked me, why am I not doing this on the page? Why have I not shared my story till this point? And I think it was because what I wanted to do was have more of, not the end of the story, but more of a completed picture of the story before I came here and spoke to more people and shared what I thought I'd learnt. So I needed more time to reflect and to sort of really be able to prove to myself and to you guys that this was all possible. So here I am at almost 55 now, having moved countries, having moved to a completely different way of life, where every morning I wake up, open the blinds, and there is the sea in front of me, which for somebody from the Midlands, it's a rarity. And I now work with small businesses. I still do work with big businesses and corporates and anybody who wants change to happen in that way that I do it, working with people and their strengths. But I work with small businesses here. I've created a series of things to support small businesses to do what I've done, or to support people who are like me 8 years ago, wanting to make some sort of change from deep within, having that feeling that life is too short and that you need to actually do more, and you have a dream, you have a vision that you're not fulfilling. So I sort of decided, I guess, all those years ago, not to settle, and that's not detrimental to the life I had before and the people I was with before and the things I did before. But there was an element there was something I wanted to do that I hadn't and that I didn't. I was on the top of Mountain One as the person who had everything, as I say, had achieved such a lot from somebody who had started from very humble beginnings born in Winson Green in Birmingham. My first business was at 19, living in a van on a car park. There's not the most auspicious of starts for somebody who was going to have a six-figure business. But I couldn't find a way to make that business go to seven figures because it relied just on me in front of customers, and I knew I needed to do something very different. And over the past year, we've laid the foundations for all of that. I've done the learning before that. I 2 or 3 years ago started coaching individual businesses and met some fabulous people who helped to stretch me on my journey. And I guess what I want to do here, and what I want to consistently do week on week, is share with you some of the things that I've learnt along the way that I found most helpful. Because I know if I'd have found somebody telling me these things 8-10 years ago, I would have listened. There would have been something there that would have made me listen and want to do something and to move forward. So this is a really quick romp, and Fridays will always be a really quick romp, which I'm sure the people that know me best will be pleased about, because I'm quite well known for doing 45-minute teachers with a big whiteboard behind me on Facebook Live. And if you want those, they're on the Facebook group, the Ideas into Action Collective. So join me there if you want more of that. But if you want just a short burst on a Friday morning of 15 minutes of some motivation or some reflection on the week that's just gone and the week that's to come, or from me some bits of reflection on the journey we've been on, which has been momentous, to go from mountain 1 and look aside and see mountain 2, even bigger and more complex, and not really knowing exactly how I was going to get here and do these things. But we're here and we're doing it, and we're loving every moment of it. I have never worked so hard in my life and enjoyed myself so much. And I think that says loads, really, that it's been a brilliant year, and now we're reaping the benefits. And people tell you that you're going to make $1 million in a year and that you're going to be able to do this or that or the other and have loads of days off, and that, yes, is wholly likely, and it is going to happen, and there will be more time to do what we want. And I can pick and choose here. If there's a sunny day, I can deflect my work to another day and go on the beach. But what you want is a realistic view, a really realistic view from somebody who's been there, done that, and is on the ground now, doing something that myself 8 years ago, 2010, at this point, before that day on the 28th of May, 2010, before that day, I wouldn't have ever imagined that I would be here doing this. I was 47 and possibly thinking that, that was it now, I'd made it, and that was where I was going to get to. And yet I've reached a whole other tier of dreams that I wanted to achieve in this time. It's been monumental. As I say, it's been a hell of a journey. And what I want to do is take you on snippets of it and share as much as I can with you over 15 minutes on a Friday morning. And I'd like to hear your stories over the time as well. I know some of you fantastically have joined me today, so that's really great of you. Thank you so much for joining, because it's an early stint for me. I'm not really an early morning person generally. But thank you so much for joining me today. If you think that these will be of interest to people that you know, then please share them. I'm going to share this myself a bit wider and see if we can get more people to know that this is happening. And as I say, I will be here every Friday for 15 minutes, just telling you some more bits and pieces of stuff that I've learnt along the way, and hopefully sharing those experiences with you and helping you to do the things that you want to do to move mountains. Because if you've got a dream, if you've got something there in the back of your head, living by the sea was probably the biggest bit of mine, then there's no time like today to start doing it. Now that was the timer, and if you've heard it, that's my 15 minutes up, and I really am going to go now. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you again next Friday for the Friday 15. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye.